Hello there guys, and today we're going to be looking at fractions, decimals and percentages, and it's going to be a fairly simple one. We're going to keep it fairly simple. So we're just going to look at what a fraction is, and then how it converts into a decimal, or how it then converts into a percentage. So let's get started. Let's take a fraction, and let's take a nice easy fraction. Let's take 1 over 2. Now that gives us quite a lot of information. So what we know is that the top is 1 and the bottom is 2. So the numerator, as they call it, is 1 and the denominator, as they call it, is 2. And all that means is 1 divided by 2. So that is equal to 1 divided by 2. Nice and easy. If we had, say, 3 over 4, that one is equal to 3 divided by 4. There we go. So we can actually set that up, and knowing that, we can set that up and we can work out any fraction. So if we had a slightly more complicated one, and let's still keep it fairly simple. So let's say we had, let's go 9. In fact, no, let's just use 3 over 4. So let's have our 3 over 4, just like that. And we know that it's 3 divided by 4, so we can set that up as a long division. So here's our long division, and we'll put the 4 there, and we're dividing the 3. There you go. So how many 4s go into 3? Well, the answer is 0. So then we need to put in our decimal points. Cross that out. Here's your zeros. Let's put a few in. Let's carry the 3. So how many 4s go into 30? Well, we know that we have 7 4s, and then we have a remainder, and our remainder is 2. So we'll just put our 2 just up there. And again, just cross this out. So now we know we're working on the next decimal point. How many 4s go into 20? Well, that's nice and easy. So that's a 5. So that's one way, or one very easy way of doing it. The way I like to do it quite often is just to work it out. You know, we know that 1 over 10 is equal to 0.1, and I know a few others. I know, for example, that a half is 0.5. I know that a quarter is 0.25. And it just remembering those makes life a lot easier when it comes to converting these things. But if you're ever stuck, go back and look at it like this. And you can just set up the long division, and then you can convert any fraction into its equivalent decimal. So the next thing we're going to look at is percentages. So we're now going to look, so we know how to put fractions into decimals. How do we put fractions into percentages? So let's go back to our 1 over 2. Quite nice and small there. So there's our 1 over 2. And what we know from a percentage point of view is that 1 is equal to 100%. Don't forget the percent sign. So all we have to do if we want to convert, for example, 1 over 2 into a percentage is we look at it as we've got the 1 at the top, 1, so that's equal to 100% divided by 2. As we know, that is equal to 50%. And we can do it with some others as well. We can have, 3 over 4. Let's do it a little bit more complicated now. This one is equal to 300, because the 3 is 3 times the 1, so instead of being 100%, we have 300%, all divided by 4. And what's 300 divided by 4? 75%. So again, nice and easy, and I know I've kept them simple in this just to sort of get you used to it if you haven't been explained it very well in the past. The next thing to look at then is how do we convert a decimal into a percentage? Well, going by the same principle, we effectively do the same. So if we remember that 1 is equal to 100%, just like that, 0.5 then is equal to 1. It's equal to half of this. So it's exactly the same as doing it from a fraction. So 0.5 times 100 in this case, so 0.5 times 100 gives us 50%. And we can do exactly the same any other way, really. Let's just pick a completely different one. Let's look at 0.1 as a percentage. So that is equal to, 1 over 10, as we know from a fraction, or 0.1 times 100, which is the same as 100 divided by 10, as you can see. And that is equal to 10%. The final thing to look at is going to be going back the other way. So in this case, we have our our percentage, so we say, let's say 50%. Now, we know that 100% is equal to 1. We already established that. And so in this case, all we need to do is to see how much it divides by 100%. So what I mean by that, for example, so to turn 50% back into a fraction, you do 50 divided by 100. And that will give us 5/10. Which will, because the zeros cancel, you can cancel those two zeros just like that. And then that will ultimately cancel down to 1/2. Nice and easy. We can try it with a different one as well. Let's do 20%. So 20/100 is equal to 2 divided by 10, which is equal to, in this case, we can see 0.2 or 1/5. Nice and easy. So I hope you got something out of this video, and I'll see you next time.